Well, welcome to our July Jam session. And Sarah and I are so excited to have Heather Aardema on with us today, who is going to be sharing, getting to the root of a well life. And Sarah's been a client of mine for, I don't know, a couple of years now, I think. And she took the big leap out of her big corporate job and launched her own company this year. And so thrilled for you for what you're putting out into the world, Heather. It's such good stuff. And I know myself, I'm always tuned into, okay, how do I be more well? What am I putting in my body? And I've really gotten so much more cognizant of this even the last year. I'm, just constantly working on this. So I am so excited to be learning from you today. And I also love it when we can have our clients share their gifts with all of the Syzygy tribe. It's really rewarding to me to be able to see that come out and to be able to share you with everybody in our circle. So welcome, Heather.
Yes, Thank you so much. Thank you, Cami. Thank you, Sarah. This is absolutely my favorite topic. So I am delighted to be able to share what I've learned with the others on the call.
Awesome. And I just have to tell everybody that's a part of this circle that if you want somebody who is like totally visibly, energetically just connected to her passion and her purpose and the stuff that she's supposed to be bringing into this world, it is Heather. And so I know that there's a lot of great content that's going to be coming, but I think you guys are just going to really enjoy the energy and the spirit that Heather brings into the dialogue. And so Heather, thanks for gifting us with your badassery. And I know that this next little while together is going to be quite lovely. And we are going to just turn it over to Heather. Cami and I are going to go off the screen. And then once Heather's done, we can come back and have a really nice dialogue. So I think this is great. It goes along with many of the things that we've talked about, like that four core, right? How are we nurturing our mind? How are we nurturing our bodies? How are we nurturing our just overall well-being, our spirit, our relationships? So can't wait to see how that connects. And Heather, I think you can go ahead and put it in presentation mode and rock and roll.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. And so if anybody has any questions, I won't be able to see, but Cami and Sarah will. So go ahead and ask your questions, and somehow we will.
Yeah, you guys can raise your hand or you can type something into the questions, either way, but Sarah and I will be watching that throughout the whole presentation. So it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I think we have about 45 minutes and I have a lot of material and I have been working for weeks and weeks to make it as interesting and fun and inspiring as possible, so that you all can actually walk away with a few tips and be able to make a few small changes starting right after this webinar if you want to. And so my goal is that you feel inspired and you feel excited to really get to the root of your well life. And so that's what we're talking about today. Thanks again, Cami and Sarah. This is absolutely my favorite topic, and so I'm just delighted to be here. And so you might be wondering, like, is this really for me? I'm already well enough. I hope this is a good use of my time. So if you can relate to any of these scenarios, then this is absolutely right for you. So the first one being, you've lost track of how long you've thought about losing those 5 pounds, those very annoying 5 pounds. You are so tired of being tired and wonder how others seem to have so much energy. And you've had a health scare or concern or two and know that you need to make some changes to stop surviving and to start thriving. Some of those health concerns could just be as simple as chronic headaches or bloating or feeling lethargic. And if this is something you've experienced, you're in the right place. So who am I? Well, my name is Heather Aardema, and I am a functional medicine certified health coach. I'll get into what that means in a moment. My mission is to help you find your unique root of well-being so that you can live a well life. As Sarah mentioned, I'm extremely passionate about this topic. I left corporate America so I could follow my dream, and I love helping people live a well life. One note, Folks often ask me for medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease, and I'm not an expert in pharmaceutical medicine. So what the heck is a functional medicine health coach? I wanted to say it's become in vogue for practitioners to say that they practice functional medicine. It's the new and kind of cool thing. The majority of those, unless they've gone through training through the Institute for Functional Medicine, are kind of just jumping on a bandwagon. And so if you want to understand functional medicine compared to traditional allopathic medicine, functional medicine is all about getting to the root cause of an issue or a symptom. It's the medicine of asking, why the heck is this happening? Traditional allopathic medicine will recommend an aspirin if you have a headache. They want to empathize with you and they want to remove that annoying pain, so they're going to treat just the symptom. They're not going to ask, why the heck is this going on? They just really don't have the time or the background in functional medicine. So for example, say you have a rock in your shoe and you're walking around and it's really annoying. Traditional medicine, they'll give you a Tylenol. If you go to functional medicine, they'll start off by saying, why is this going on? And now how can we remove that rock? And then once they figure out what is going on, they're going to use lifestyle and diet and supplements and some other things to go ahead and either remove that rock completely or lessen the impact of it and kind of shrink that rock down. So that is functional medicine. As a health coach, what do I do and how do I kind of fit into that scene? So through my programs, I help people go from kind of feeling like crap, calling it how I see it, to feeling unimaginably well. And I do this through creating balance. The reason why we get rocks, so if those rocks are headaches or if those rocks are bloating, is because our body is out of balance. And so as a coach, I help people discover and express a newfound love for their personal well-being through focused nutrition, better relationships, deeper sleep, better relaxation, more exercise and movement, and stress transformation. It's not just managing the stress, but it's transforming it into something positive. And my training is rooted in functional medicine, functional nutrition, mind-body medicine, and positive psychology. So I'm going to share a personal story. And Cammie and Sarah, I have to say it feels a little bit funny sharing this story to my computer screen. But I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about how I ended up being a health coach. And I'm actually going to talk about my weight. And weight can be a very sensitive topic. Frankly, I don't think there's anything that's more personal than weight. So this is a picture of me in college, and I am on the right. And I will tell you, in college, I went to The Ohio State University, and I had a lot of fun, and I did a lot of drinking, and I got great grades, and I really never struggled with serious depression. But in this picture, you'll note that I am swollen, chubby, and I was feeling miserable. Why was I in this particular state? And how the heck did I get to where I am now, where I feel amazing? It was all about the breakfast to go. So I was eating cafeteria food, and I had no idea why it had such a pull on me. So you could go pick up your breakfast. You'd stand in line. You could choose bagels, muffins, yogurts, juices. There weren't any vegetables. Any option they had was refined and heavily processed. And you were allowed to choose 7 items. And for some reason, I would go and I would choose my 7 items, even though I had a lunch and a dinner plan as part of my overarching meal plan, but I would choose those 7 because that's what I was allowed to. I would take the food back to my dorm room, and I would tell myself, well, I'll just have a bagel and maybe a juice and maybe an apple, and I would end up eating it all. And I will say that I had repressed this memory, and I had forgotten how awful it felt for food to have such a pull on me. I felt like I was out of control. And at this time, I didn't understand why I couldn't stop eating, but they were starting to gather the science and the research in the background, and we were learning that certain foods are addicting. And it's not just sugar that it's addicting, but it's foods that convert to sugar the minute you put them into your mouths. And those are those refined and heavily processed grains and dairies. So these foods are addicting. They're linked to depression, and they increase permeability in our intestines, which can then go on and lead to chronic disease like autoimmune disease and cancer. So I'm going to take you a little bit deeper. What you see right here is called the functional medicine timeline. This is one of the tools that functional medicine doctors use when they first meet with a client. And I'm showing you my weight. You guys, my husband has not even seen this. This is something that I've never shown anyone because it's so sensitive. But I think sharing my story might help. So at the start of my senior year of high school, I was 118 pounds. At the end, I was 128 pounds. So what changed? I was very active. I was an athlete. I ran in cross country. I was a cheerleader. But what the difference was this group called Secret Spirits. And their mission was to make sure that every athlete felt special. And every week I would get a surprise donut or a surprise bagel or a surprise candy bar from the person that was assigned to support me. So that was a big jump right there. And then in college, I jumped up to 143 pounds. And you guys, I'm 5'4", and that is a number of different pant sizes, just so you know. And you also might be looking at that and saying 143, that's nothing. But to me, it was something, and it felt horrible. And this is all about what the experience was like, my perceived experience for me. In my 30s, I started to lose a little weight, and then in the last 5 years, I'm back down to where I was at the start of my senior year. So you might wonder, like, how the heck did this happen? Well, I took out wheat in my early 30s, but only because I was tired of having my husband burp me every single time I would eat it. Now, I ate it for years and years and years thinking it was delicious, but after a while, it just was so disgusting and so embarrassing and so painful to have to be slapped on the back like a baby. And clearly, my body was sending me a signal that, hey, this food is not really working very well for you, but I didn't want to hear it for a long time. And it wasn't until the early 30s that I was ready to hear it and say, you know what? There are plenty of other good alternatives. I don't really need this. Was I happy with my weight at that time? No. Was my weight my low point? No. I developed an autoimmune disease, and it's called rheumatoid arthritis, and it is where the body attacks the joints, and it's incredibly painful. So a note on autoimmune diseases. Maybe even a few of you on this call or listening to this call today actually have one. They are on a rise. More and more women are developing these as time goes on. So autoimmune diseases are like cancer. They don't grow overnight, or they don't appear overnight. They do grow every single night, every day. And they grow quietly until they get a really good footing in your body. And then wham, bam, they hit you by surprise. They knock you down in whatever way they can. So for me, it was rheumatoid arthritis that was manifested. So I am 42. I was 32 with my very first flare. And it was painful. And then I started having them on a more regular basis. But I will tell you, on the outside, I looked fine. But I wasn't. My joint hurts. I felt old. I was on more prescriptions than my dad. My dad at the time was 64. I spent a lot of time directing my anger toward my gene pool, blaming this on my mom's side. But really, unbeknownst to me, the reason why I developed rheumatoid arthritis was through a lot of my own personal actions. It's not just genetics. So a lot of the things that I was doing to my body were influencing whether or not I was going to develop this. And so that became my turning point. And that's when I became obsessed with healing myself naturally. I have been going to the pharmacy every single month since my early 20s for one thing or another, and I was so tired of it. And I decided I need to put myself on an intentional path toward well-being. I have to figure out my specific route of well-being. What is going to make me feel amazing and get me off these drugs? And I did it. I took my life back, and I've never felt better. And so, what was it that got me to where I am today? Well, you probably have guessed it. It's functional medicine. And I was so focused on lessening my symptoms of the rheumatoid arthritis that I almost didn't notice something absolutely wonderful that had happened. My weight came off without even trying. I was back down to where I had started at the start of my senior year. And you guys, I have never looked back. So even if there is a food that I can't eat and it looks absolutely delicious, I know now that it's poison inside my body and I have to stay away. So who am I today? Well, because of that major life transformation, I went ahead and I quit that corporate marketing job that I'd been in for 20 years, and I became a certified functional medicine health coach. And the material I'm sharing with you today comes from the Institute for Functional Medicine, as well as my own experience. And so it's really exciting that I can say today, I'm living life as though health matters. I'm leaning in and choosing vitality, and I am an autoimmune disease thriver. That is huge. So I've given you some of my story, my personal story, and so now I'm going to put the focus on you all, and I want to ask you a few questions. And if you have a little journal or a notebook, go ahead and kind of jot down your answers to these. So I want to know, how important is your health to you? So think about this, write down your number, and then think about why you chose the number that you did. Have you already achieved optimal health? Do you feel like you don't have time to focus on your health? Maybe you'll address it when something happens, like what happened to me. Okay? And next, I want you to answer this question as well. And then think about why you answered it the way you did. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is never and 10 is frequently, how frequently do you experience stress? Some of you might have it under control, and some of you might be rolling your eyes and saying, seriously, Heather, every day. All right, well, it's estimated that 70 to 90% of all medical visits are in some way related to stress. And chronic stress will lead to weight gain, and eventually it will lead to disease. When you experience stress, there is a flood of a hormone called cortisol. You can feel that if you're nervous about something, you kind of, maybe your body will feel tingly. If you are watching a movie and it's scary, maybe your hands will start to sweat. That is because of the increase in cortisol. And that hormone kind of powers your fight, flight, or freeze response. So anyway, let's talk about getting rid of that stress. So this is a wonderful recommendation from a 90-year-old Buddhist monk. Smile, breathe, and go slowly. One way to lower stress is through breath. So I want you all to take a deep breath with me. We're going to breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. We're going to hold for a count of 7, and we're going to release for a count of 8. The reason why we're going to release longer than we hold is because we want to get out any kind of static air that's trapped in our body. And if you, since you're on mute, feel free to have a guttural sound come through as you release if you like. That also helps with stress. Whew, so let's go ahead and do that. So everyone, take in a deep breath through the nose for a count of 4 now. 2, 3, 4, and hold for 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now release for 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I hope that felt great. And feel free to breathe deeply throughout this whole presentation. That will be a great stress reducer for you. So my goal today is to inspire you to revitalize your health and live a well life. I'm going to start off with the truth, and this is so annoying for so many, but it is true. We are primarily responsible for our own health. It's not your doctor's responsibility. It's not your parents' responsibility. It's not your spouse's responsibility. It's your responsibility. And no one will ever care more about your health than you. So take the responsibility seriously. All right, we're going to start off by looking or thinking about what was last on your fork or your spoon. And so think about that and write it down in your journal. Okay, and so my question to you now is, was that food worthy of you? And what I mean by that is, did you put cheap ingredients in your mouth, or did you put nourishing ingredients? Examples of cheap ingredients are those highly refined sugars and grains. They're usually found in the aisle of the grocery store, and they're heavily processed. Examples of nourishing ingredients are things like avocados and apples and sweet potatoes and kale and cucumber and jicama. And there's so many, and they're all beautiful. And you just think about a rainbow, and there's an option or multiple options for every single color. Most people consider themselves healthy because they haven't gotten sick yet. They haven't received a diagnosis. So I want to ask you, do you consider yourself healthy? Are you? Be honest with yourself. And being healthier than your neighbors doesn't count. It doesn't get you more points. This is an individual sport. So let's talk a little bit more about food. Food is information that turns on and off disease. The right food will get you on the right trajectory. Is food medicine? Absolutely. Look at this picture that I have here. Those are lunches that I made for my boys right before the end of the school year. My boys are 7 and 5 years old. The lunch on the left is for my 7-year-old, and the one on the right is for my 5-year-old. You'll notice that there are some similarities. In both lunches, half of the lunch is vegetable. It's cucumbers and celery and carrots and snap peas. In my older son's lunch, on the left, you'll see there are strawberries, a quarter of the lunch, and then there is cashew bread with nut butter and raw honey. Now, my 5-year-old doesn't feel well when he eats the grain-free cashew bread. It still doesn't work well for his symptom. But what he loves is raw salmon. So he gets raw salmon and some organic frozen mango. So we are all unique, but there is a commonality. I do need to make different lunches for my kids because of how they're reacting. But that commonality for all humankind is that health starts at a cellular level. Actually, that's worth repeating. It starts at a cellular level. So, are you on the right trajectory? Your cells have the answer. Disease starts years before it gets noticed. So what can you do? Look at what you put on your fork and ask yourself, is it worthy of you? Now, this conversation today is not only about nutrition. Is food the only thing that matters? Heck no. Your lifestyle matters. How fast are you living your life? Are you in a constant state of fight or flight? Are you sleep deprived? Wellness is a holistic concept. Yes, there are risk factors of genetics, but now there is this evolving science called epigenetics where we can actually turn off and on certain genes through the way we nourish our bodies. So that can't be an excuse anymore. Disease does not have to manifest just because your great-grandpa had it. Stress, fatigue, and a poor diet have a tremendous influence on our body's ability to resist illness and disease. So focus on what you can impact, and those things are what we call the modifiable lifestyle factors. And you'll see these in this picture right here. Nutrition, sleep and relaxation, stress transformation, exercise and movement, relationships. You all, this is how I took my life back. I had to change my nutrition. I had to change how I exercise. I used to do half Ironman, but you know what? With an autoimmune disease, not the right thing for me. I have to be very careful with my relationships. So with my husband, Randy, there can't be any emotional games. If there's an emotional game, I will get a flare. Maybe it's in my shoulder and I can't lift my arm. Maybe it's my ankle and I can't walk. So he and I have had numerous conversations about no game playing. We have to be straight and honest, and I have to be able to vocalize my truth. So my health programs focus on these 5 areas, and that's really how we achieve true, tangible transformation. And in working with my clients, I help them learn the fundamentals of well-being, identify unique roots of well-being, and help them move from survive to thrive. So we are going to spend the next 20 minutes going through some wellness tips. I'm going to take you through my one-pager, which are tenets that help me live an incredible life, a well life. And then we're going to do a quick exercise on a well life vision. And then I'm going to talk to you about Journey for Joyful. And I'm super excited to share my 20-day online functional wellness reboot with you. So let's go to those tips. So the first area is nutrition. So here, food is much more than calories. It is information, as you know, energy, connection, and medicine. Food is one of the most fundamental and potent inputs we give our bodies every single day. So think about, what is food for you? Where are your calories coming from? How would you describe the pace of your life? Is it similar to the pace that you're eating? What are you eating? Where are you eating? Are you in front of the TV? And what does your posture look like when you're eating? Are you kind of shoveling it in real fast like that? Or have you had a deep breath and you're sitting back and you're truly enjoying the experience? Here are some tips for you. Go heavy on the plants. I think everybody can agree plants are incredibly important. And the reason why they're important lies in the color of the plants. So that color is truly chemicals that are called phytochemicals. And the more color, the more of a rainbow that you get, the more variety in those phytochemicals that you will immerse your body in. And those are the true building blocks of repair, and they help you heal. So eat a lot of plants, eat a lot of color, and occasionally go hungry. So think about, when was the last time you felt a hunger pain? It is an empowering thing to do. It might sound scary. Nobody wants to be hungry or feel hungry. But separate true hunger from emotional hunger. And when you are walking to the kitchen, you may want to use the acronym of HALT. It's H, ask yourself, are you hungry? A, ask yourself, are you angry? L, ask yourself if you're lonely. And T, ask yourself if you're tired. If it's A, L, or T, walk out, go for a walk, do something else. Okay, moving into exercise and movement. So how are you moving your body? Are you getting your heart pumping? Equally important, are you making room for restorative exercise to unwind from the busyness of life? We need space for both. So when was last time you forced yourself to sweat? And maybe you do it every day, and that's great. Although if you do it every day, make sure that you are getting restorative exercise as well. But if you have not purposely tried to get your heart pumping so that you are leaning over your knees and breathing really heavy, go out and do it tomorrow morning while it's still cool. Run the length of your block as fast as you possibly can. Pretend you're a kid. After you run the length of your block, take 10 seconds, turn around, and run back. And just see how the rest of your day evolves. I kind of feel like it will be more amazing than it would have been. Okay, so 3 tips here. Find something you love to do and do it. Incorporate all 3 and be intentional about duration and intensity. So think about what kind of exercise really energizes you. Think about yoga, tai chi, gardening, running, mountain biking. Think about all of those. They're all good for you. So if you want a better mood, exercise. If you want to get rid of toxins, exercise. Do you all realize that there are 10 times as many toxins in our perspiration than there is in our urine? So if you're not peeing it out, go sweat it out. Okay, stress transformation. Earlier, I mentioned the link between chronic stress and the doctor's office. And stress is almost always an emotion. It's a frustration and irritation. It's a feeling of being overwhelmed. So free yourself and release emotional baggage. Emotions drive activity in our body system, like the increased cortisol that I mentioned earlier. Are there consequences? Heck yes. Consequences of being stressed, it's that belly that you can't get rid of. It's that depression. It's immune suppression. There's so many consequences. Internal stressors, are you a workaholic? Is everything on your to-do list? And then there are external stressors. And I could do a 7-hour webinar on this, but I'll keep it short. There are so many dangerous chemicals in our environment. There are 3,000 licensed chemicals going into our food supply, and there are 80,000 chemicals going into the environment, and that number is increasing every year. Now, if chemicals didn't do harm, there wouldn't be a problem, but they do harm. They disrupt our physiology. They bind to human tissue, and they form new antigens, and those antigens are the first step to autoimmune disease and to cancer. So, where are these chemicals hiding? Do you wear makeup? Do you wear nail polish? Watch out for the red lipstick. Most of it has lead in it. I'm not saying you can't wear these things, but buy from companies that are toxin-free. I mean, do you really want to wear formaldehyde on your nails or on your face? Think about how much fluoride you're ingesting. Do you have silver fillings? Are you eating Roundup Ready corn and soy? Do you leave your shoes on at the front door? The shoes are tracking in so many chemicals from the street. Do what the Japanese do and leave them at the front door. Are you drinking from plastic bottles? If so, you're getting a dose of plastic with your water. A few tips here. Reduce your toxic load. Get into nature instead of watching a scary movie. I may have mentioned before, the brain really doesn't know the difference between a scary movie and real life. So you are going to feel those sensations as if it were truly happening to you. So after a scary movie, your cortisol is increased, you're feeling more anxious. So instead, opt for nature, opt for forest bathing, and stay in the present tense. Get out of the past and get out of the future. Consciously try to go off autopilot. All right, sleep and relaxation. You are doing more work in the middle of the night than you are during the day. Restful, restorative sleep is important for healing, immunity, mood, cognition, and it reduces food cravings. So some tips here. Raise your temperature, your body temperature before sleep, so you can establish an evening herb herb habit. Drink some delicious tea. Listen to binaural beats. Google it. It's amazing. And address nighttime tension and anxiety, which means don't talk about money right before you're going to bed. At least that's what it means for me. Relationships. All people are capable and deserve compassion. It's beneficial to know your love language and your partners. And relationships are built on trust and commitment. Contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling, and criticism are red flags. Pay attention to those. There is a very close link between your personal relationships and your immune function. So those relationships, they have the power to change our physiology as well as our psychology. So surprise yourself. Go give affection to somebody, even if you weren't planning on it, and see what comes right back at you. It's amazing. Laugh. There is this fun study where the researcher has people take a pencil and put it between their teeth so they have to smile while they hold the pencil. Then they have others hold another pencil like this so they have to frown. And then they do a bunch of measurements, and the folks that had the pencil in their mouth and smiling had positive benefits for days after the test. It's super fun, and if you're interested, I'll put it up on the Syzygy page, Facebook page. And then look at your friends and think about, is it time to complete a social network inventory. It might be. All right, the whole point here is that there's no concrete wellness formula. There's not one plan that's right for all. You have to basically discover what works best for you. And so think, are there 1 or 2 tips that really seem to have a message for you? And if so, write those down. Okay, and I'm going to zoom along looking at that clock, and we're going to go through some tenets now. So these are my tenets. And these are the principles that I have created for a well life. And this is what I share with my clients. And it is kind of like a true north type document. So it's a 1-pager, but it just speaks volumes, I feel. So the first one is find your inspiration. What do you want your story to be? What matters most to you? The second one is all about building your blueprints. This is about defining your intention, and it's about defining a wellness vision and a plan. And one thing that I think is absolutely instrumental in creating that plan is to know your character strengths. Know your essence, where you already shine. And there is a fast survey that you can do. It's via character.org, and it will pop back what your character strengths are and use those to help build that blueprint. Mine are zest, self-regulation, hope, and love. And so do that. The third one is eat food that's worthy of you. We've already talked a lot about that. Go heavy on those plants. Do I eat meat? Yes, I do eat meat, but my meat is not a main dish. It is a flavoring agent. And the meat that I use and eat is grass-fed and grass-finished. So try and go as healthy as you possibly can because you're worth it. Stay present and honest. So live consciously. Kind of break out of that trance. And one way to do that, if it's regarding food, is to use a food journal. Or it's to notice how your food tastes beyond like the first few bites. It's reading labels. It's not just mindlessly dropping things in the grocery store into your cart. Beyond food, we can turn off the TV. We can leave our phones in another room. And we can notice how tense we are when we are driving 10 miles over the speed limit. Is it really worth it? And break out of that mental trance as well. If you're having negative thoughts, if they're toxic, change them. You are not your thoughts. What we think about or don't think about can really change our physiology. 5, drink half your body weight in ounces. There are so many choices, but it does not have to be complicated. Just drink plenty of water. Don't go for this pop or this cola. Water. Water is fantastic, but make sure it's clean. Most municipal water is contaminated, so you need to have a filter if you don't want to drink those contaminants. And in those contaminants are all kinds of pharmaceutical medicine. There are pesticides, there are pesticides, and all kinds of nastiness. So filter your water and drink it out of glass or stainless steel. Splurge on quality, so not cheap ingredients. So chocolate, buy the 70% proof, it's better for you. Body care, make sure your body care doesn't have 30 ingredients. Does it have 4 or 5? Great. The body care that I use is extra virgin olive oil and it's coconut oil, and it feels amazing. Get your emotions in motion. So do you have frequent mood swings? Do you feel comfortable talking about your feelings? Do you find yourself overeating, over drinking, distracting yourself when you're feeling emotional? Get those in motion. Go take a walk. Walk around the block. Connect with nature. Breathe deeply and often. Oh my goodness. Anytime I start to get a little stressed or if I can't sleep, I breathe deeply. And it's fun to think about, but we want to use our belly here. So when I start breathing, I breathe out like I breathe in, but I push out my belly and then I imagine it coming up to my chest. I reach my neck and then I let it all out. And it's just kind of like a little circular roller coaster and it feels amazing. Move rigorously. Some of us, as we enter new generations, don't want to move rigorously anymore, but it is so beneficial. So make sure that you have intense periods of heavy duty exercise, like I talked about running the length of the block. And the last one is touch and be touched. Physically, acupuncture, massage. I get a massage tonight, I'm so excited. But also spiritually, there's a sense of connectedness that grounds us in our lives. So read a book that touches your soul. Share yourself with a friend and kind of soak up the beauty of the other person. Do you notice the difference between illness and wellness? Illness is I, being alone. Wellness is we. Make sure you have your community. So these are those tenets that I use to redesign how you care for your body, reconnect to your own power to heal, and recharge your spirit to feel more energized, resilient, and whole for my clients. So sit back for a moment and imagine, what if you lost that weight? How would you feel? What if you had more energy? What would you do? And if you started to thrive, who would be impacted? So where do we start? It's all about creating that vision. Now, what is a well-life vision? It's not just a daydream or a fantasy. It's an image that represents the way we want to live life when we are living our best lives possible. It's not just what we're doing, it's who we want to be. So there are 5 steps here. And because of time, I'm just going to kind of read through the steps. We're not going to do it, but if you want to do it on your own later, please go for it. I think you absolutely should. The first one is creating a list of qualities you would like to see in your best life possible. Some thought starters: inspiring, idea-generating relationships with business partners, strong family bonds, a healthy body able to move effortlessly. These are my thought starters for my list of qualities. The next thing you're going to do is synthesize a crisp, motivating statement that captures what you're thinking about. For me, my well-life vision is to embody a cheerful enjoyment of life. I want to be able to actively and painlessly share the outdoors with my grandchildren and energetically explore the world with my husband, always taking the more rugged path. The third step here is to create an image. Pretend you are a movie producer. So here is my image for you all. Kayaking the isolated North Shore of Lake Superior with Randy, my husband, and our 20-something boys and their special someones. I am strong, fit, and slender. I am wearing quality outdoor clothing that is complementary of my 60-year-old body. The weather is the weather, all of it amazing and beautiful in its own right. We find a beautiful spot to camp each night. We feel nourished eating whole foods rich in vitamins and minerals. My RA is under control. My boys play their banjos. They don't even know how to play piano, but at some point they might. There is a lot of laughter. We genuinely like one another. My boys are happy. My husband is still sexy and capable, and all our hearts are full of joy. That's my image. So how do I get there? It's all about coaching the gap. What has to change for me to achieve this? Well, I will be honest. I need to learn how to sleep again. Sleep soundly and for at least 8 hours a night. I need to incorporate more meditation, more time in nature, more forest bathing, and I need to eat more plants. I eat a lot of plants, but I can always bring in more. They are, if anything is, they are the magic bullet. I need to work on strength training and incorporate more yoga. So that's what I have to do to create that vision. So take a deep breath again and congratulate yourself. You've got these steps now. You might have some ideas on what you want to do to achieve your own vision. You might know what that vision is, or you might want to think through it. If we don't have a vision, then we don't have anything to work towards. Today's just a start. What I've shared with you is really just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much we can do. Oh, and there's one more section here. Sorry about that. Who benefits? My kids. They see me living a life full of enthusiasm, energy, and spontaneity. They see a mom who doesn't let her autoimmune disease define her or provide her with excuses. They understand the fundamentals of well-being. They know their unique roots of well-being, and they are thriving. They see Randy and me actively in love with each other and in love with healthy living, and they choose to continue that tradition with their families. So that is the 5 steps. Okay, so now you know wellness. It's living our lives consciously in ways that improve our health and well-being. And in my personal experience and with people I've coached, when we choose wellness, joy becomes a constant companion. As I mentioned, I've given you a lot of education today, but it really is the tip of the iceberg. And that's where the importance of coaching comes in. So another question for you, jot down your number. How ready are you to feel more energy, more enthusiasm, and more joy? Now, if you wrote down a 5 or higher, this next offer is for you. I truly believe it is. If you had something underneath a 5, candidly, I really don't think this program is not for you yet. The program that I am talking about and so excited about is Journey to Joyful. Is it possible to lose the weight? Yes. Is it possible to have more energy? Yes. Is it possible to move from survive to thrive? Yes. These are all benefits of my 20-day online functional wellness reboot. It is going to be awesome, and I hope that it is a choice that you make. And if you feel like your health is important to you, if you would like to lower the amount of stress that you're feeling, if you'd like to experience more energy, more enthusiasm, more joy in your life, then this is for you. So what are the details? Okay. It is a functional wellness reboot course. It's 20 days of learning modules, journal exercises, challenges, recipes, tips, inspiration, accountability, and more. We are going to use the healing power of nutrition, fitness, detoxification, emotions, beliefs, and loves. We are going to set up a private Facebook page where I'll be live every day, and it is in September. It's September 20th to October 10th. Expect out of this program what you're going to put into it. That's why I want you to be a 5 or higher. And this program is not just about weight. Yes, you will lose weight. It will come off, but it's about more. So I'm focused on creating true health. So that involves increasing your toolbox on how you handle stress, your mindset, and learning about what your body really truly needs to survive, move from survive to thrive. How much is it? The investment is $189. You guys, that is less than $10 a day, and I think you're worth it. So I have 3 questions for you. Think about what you've done in the past that has worked and what hasn't worked and why. Think about what you've already spent emotionally, spiritually, financially, and relationship-wise on things that haven't worked. And think, is your health worth it? Or are you just fine with status quo? And that is okay. Is it time to feel completely well, to feel amazing again? I think so. And I think your health is worth it. And just because you are friends of Cammie's and Sarah's, $150. I mean, I had to throw that out, right? You guys, $750 a day. I really want you to sign up.
Woohoo!
The caveat is you have to sign up by Friday at 10 a.m. Mountain. That's when this offer expires. And why? Because I'm super excited to start filling up the slots. And I'm going to limit it to 50. That is what I'm thinking. And so I think it's going to be great, and I want you guys to benefit from it. Is there a bonus? You guys, I'm trying to make this really, really like a no-brainer. Yes, there's a bonus. For the first 10 people who sign up, I'll conduct a free wellness coaching session. These last about an hour. They're inspirational, they're motivational, and I charge $150. So think about it. You can pay $150, get the 1 session with me, or you can pay $150, get 1 session with me, and get 20 days of inspiration, life transforming inspiration. So I hope you will consider this. Here's a wonderful quote from one of my former professors. Wellness is caring enough about yourself to take stock of your life, make the necessary changes, and find support to maintain your motivation. If you're not currently doing it, it's your time. And I think Journey to Joyful is the perfect opportunity for you. So if you want to sign up, send me an email. This may seem like a lifetime away, September 20th, but I promise you it's right around the corner. And I just wanted to say, Cammie and Sarah, thank you so much for sharing this platform with me. And I love this conversation. And for anybody listening to it, if you want to follow me, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Root of Wellbeing. You can look at my blog, which is rootofwellbeing.com, or send me an email. But I hope to hear from you, and I just have really enjoyed this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Heather. This was awesome. That was great. Totally great. I know it's fun seeing you go through all of this and sharing some of your great wisdom on this. I really I like, I like what you bring to the table, and I like what the philosophies you teach. I believe in. So, at the very heart, as many of you know, it's like I have a lot of reasons why I'm tuned into health right now in my family. So I truly, truly believe so much of what you're sharing with the world, and I think it's really needed out there. So thank you.
Thank you, Cammie.
And I love, like, the key takeaway for me, or the thing that I want to try, is that idea of like hunger. Like, don't just consume. Like, what is it that your body's telling you that you need through that process? I thought that was a really interesting challenge. So thank you for that, Heather.
Yeah. Sure. If you think about it, if you are constantly putting food into your body, the body is constantly trying to process and digest and absorb that food, and it never has time to do any other work. Yeah. And that's where, that's the work that's so important that we do.
It's funny. I just read that last night on the plane. I totally read that last night on the plane. I was reading about, you don't need to be eating all the time. Marion, you just raised your hand. And
Heather, do you have one? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Heather, do you have a one-sheeter on your program? Because I want to send it to my cousin who you and I have spoken about. I think it'd be a really great intro for her.
I will have a one-sheeter. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Marion.
You should do this video so that we can share. We could share this one live, or if you want to do another one live and we could share it, with you live, it'd probably be the better thing to do, is to share your video, when you're going to run another one of these with other people, whether you do it on Zoom or GoToWebinar or whatever that might look like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yes, because I will be doing this. I'll be doing a free webinar and advertise it on Facebook in August.
Cool.
Because I want to fill up those slots as soon as I can, so I can get to the work of finessing and finalizing the program. The program is so amazing. I'm so excited to share it with everybody. There are so many fun, amazing elements to it. And so thank you, Cammie. Yes.
The only other thing I thought of is the I would love to have a little, because I was like jotting down madly here all the different things, and maybe a little one-pager that kind of said, okay, here's top tips that you heard today, that people can walk away, and that way you're giving them something that has your content on it as well.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even those tips that I shared today, I mean, frankly, like for every section, every one of those modifiable lifestyle factors, there's probably 30, but I'm like, I can talk a lot, but we gotta hone it into 3.
Infographics or something, like you could go play with Canva and infographics or something to create something really cool, right? So HALT, hungry, angry, lonely. What was the T?
He is tired.
Tired.
And I will tell you, this is an acronym that has been around the block. This is something that circles of Overeaters Anonymous folks use.
Okay.
But I think that it needs to be expanded. I think it should be HAALT. And so it's hungry, it's angry, it's addicted, and then it's lonely and tired. And the thing is, certain foods have the power to make us feel addicted. So am I addicted to gluten anymore, or wheat? No, because I don't eat those things anymore. But I used to not be able to stop. It's a really raw memory for me that I had completely suppressed and forgotten about.
Yeah.
And I felt pretty miserable at the time, and I didn't know, why is this food? Why am I keep going back for more and more? Well, some people are more susceptible to others. My mom and I are both very susceptible to wheat. My dad can eat it and not have that emotional pull to eat more. He's fine with one slice of bread. My mom and I couldn't do that. So we're all different, we're all unique, and that's why this program that I'm doing, and when I work with my clients, it's all about finding the unique roots of their well-being. So we're all different. One program is not going to fit all.
Okay.
And I think that you've got some great stuff, and I know that you're going to be wildly successful. One thing to consider even more with that handout is the recipe side, just because you've got so many beautiful ideas. Like, could you give somebody maybe even just a 3-day, you know, here is a breakfast, here's a snack, here's a beautiful dinner, just something like that. Because, I mean, people need that motivation, and they know something that's tried and true that comes from you. They're going to just, I think, feel that connection with you even more.
You know what I would like with
That's a great idea.
I love that idea too. And what you could do with that is the infomercial, or the infographic, not the infomercial. The infographic is the step one. And if they want to get the recipe pack, have that as a download off your website with a, you know, they put their email in to get that. So that starts to build the list. Yeah.
Okay.
Love
yes.
it. Love it.
Yes.
Cool.
Well, thank you, ladies. And thanks again for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, you bet.
Yes, yes. And utilize your Instagram stories too as you're doing your launch. Like, assume that somebody, once they watched your webinar, assume that they are now following you on social and continue to talk that language. And so maybe for the week after you do your webinar, you're going to always show them what you're eating. And so you're going to, every meal that you prepare, whether it's for you, it's your family, you're going to give somebody that quick behind the scenes look, because you know that they're already, you know, curious, and you're continuing to add value to them and inviting them into the program.
Okay. Oh, that's a great idea. I've done the stories a few times, but it's more been about what my kids are doing or mountain biking. It hasn't been kind of behind the scenes on food. And so I'll do, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, and it's been fun having you on, and thanks for those of you who were here live, and everybody who's joining in, listening to the recording. Share what, you know, for everyone, share what you learned off of this, and share when we post this on the Facebook page this afternoon. Just share what was the best tip that really resonated with you. So thanks a lot, and we'll see everyone later. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.